Okay.
Somebody contacted me.
He's
You
here.
might get a
I'm
copy.
gonna,
Oh,
yeah, I'll go ahead and come on. He'll be right back. He's making a couple of copies.
okay. Did you have a good Christmas?
I did. Did you guys?
Yes.
I'm just gonna hand out copies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. I got one extra.
You let Micah.
He's got one and then he's bringing extra copies. So, as we discussed last time, there's not a lot to it. We haven't really started yet. End of the period ends, well, today, essentially tomorrow. So don't anticipate anything more is gonna be done than what you've got there, but, I did contact Denise Thompson. She had a few questions just to see where we were at, where we were going. I think I answered those satisfactory. Got on the agenda either for the Conservation District's next meeting or the advisory group's next meeting. That'll kind of kick this process started. Problem with that is the advisory group's next meeting is not until like the 21st or
Come
22nd,
on up, Mike.
which puts us out there a little ways, just means we're gonna have to be very focused and go forward and make this thing happen. So, that'll be the process, I guess, moving forward, is to meet with them first, kind of get an agenda and outline of this project hammered out for that first meeting with a kind of a schedule on, here's what we need to do by when. And, hopefully we can get that done and, get moving on this project, so.
Have you been working on that kind of a schedule? You got kind of a,
I've been working on one, yes. So, what the plan will be is to roll that out at the advisory group meeting probably, or the conservation district next meeting, either one. And just say, okay, I'm just kind of working backwards from, our due date of October, whatever it is, 17th, I believe, and condensing everything in. Of course, the LiDAR is the important part. We've got to get that done so that we can make sure we have the data we need to do the analysis. That would be dependent on weather. There are a few things we can do, probably get some surveying done and things like that to, at our bridge locations and things like that to get those moving along. So,
We want to work with that Citizens Advisory Committee, the Soil Conservation Committee,
landowner advisory group.
the landowner advisory.
Yeah. So I think that one of the things that'll be important about this is, obviously there's not enough money in the grant set aside to do the county bridges in full. So, the plan should be probably to submit an application to Treasure State Endowment Program for grant funding from them and state funding. So we could use both their funding and the FEMA funding to complete the bridges.
You're talking about engineering.
No, engineering and construction.
Oh, okay.
And
How many
construction.
bridges are we speaking of?
I believe we have three.
That would be Carson Lane, Lightning Barn, and Clump. They have culverts in there, or multiple.
let's we talk about another one? Oh, that one that's in there,
Where we look at that
lower Deep Creek sewage.
Yeah.
The capacity.
And we'll look at that too. I mean, as they told us, we're not limited necessarily on original scope, but if there are changes in the scope, we need to get those in early in the process so they can approve them. And we can move forward with that.
Goal is to get those bridges, take those culverts out, and get those bridges up a little high, with a wide throat,
Right?
build the road up to it. So it'll handle a lot of water, trash.
Yes.
It won't be backing up into neighborhoods, farm fields,
And also-
running over the road.
Kind of promote, the stream doing what it needs to do, rather than being very restricted to the spot.
Culvert plugs are bad anyway.
Yeah.
They had the old Olson place, when we had the big flood a few years ago. It just went everywhere.
Right.
Is it streamed right back where it belongs now then?
I believe it's back kind of in its somewhat original location. We'll have to, take a look at some of those things. And I believe that the part that the Conservation District is doing will outline more of that because they're doing that stream migration corridor study. background or aerial photos and such. And then our new LiDAR stuff will show exactly where it's at. So, because there probably won't be a recent aerial photo, so that'll be something they can use also with,
We can't go in there and clean the silt out, can we?
we can dredge, yes. We can take silt out of the stream. We cannot realign it without getting a permit through the Army Corps of Engineers. Dredging is an allowed activity as long as it's in the channel banks. Of course, we'd have to get a turbidity permit waiver while we're doing that through DEQ, but that is an allowed activity. We just have to talk to them about it.
Because that's what it's gonna take, isn't it?
Possibly in some areas. What we're hoping for, obviously, is we won't have to do a lot of sediment removal because it's very expensive. We're hoping that, you know, if we change some things, it will kind of flush itself out, so to speak, which would be a better,
Get enough curb going through this place.
yeah, which would be a better alternative than what we've got. And I know there are still some structures out there that are causing some of those damming and you know, reduced velocity conditions that lead to sediment buildup.
The one on Clopton Lane, when we had the flood, what, 4 or 5 years ago? We watched that and, I mean, it just ate away at the bank,
Right,
something fierce.
right,
And then we ended up with a tree right in the middle of the stream
right,
because it had all washed away.
right. And that'll be part of, you know, what we're looking at. I believe the one you're talking about kind of comes in and then curves. And by doing some widening there, possibly we can help that out considerably.
We build bridge, you can put concrete wings on it also, and you'll rip wrap with some big boulders and stuff, kind of keep that from washing
Yeah.
around the bridge,
So,
where it swirls.
yeah,
That was my next question, can we rip wrap it at all?
absolutely, yes.
That's what we're planning
That's,
to do.
that's
It's over.
an allowed maintenance activity under core jurisdiction. You know, we've got a roadway there, we can replace a bridge.
Well, and up, coming into that same bridge, that hayfield right there, we were haying it. And the fence just hung
Right.
out there. It was nothing attached to because it had washed away so bad.
Right.
So can something be done about that?
There are certain things that we're not gonna be able to control. The stream migrating back and forth within its natural floodplain is gonna be impossible for us to control. So people are gonna lose property, gain property. That's what happens when you live by a stream or a river. What we wanna do, of course, is not perpetuate that problem and not make it any worse. Try to make it better if we can. And so we'll be looking at all those things, but in order for us to, you know, control it completely, it's not possible.
Before the settlers came in here, that stream would just meander through that valley, migrate where it wanted to, and it would swirl around it. That's what migration, those loops, slow the velocity of the water down. That's nature's way, to keep it from washing. And there's a bunch of willows, trees and stuff growing up the banks. As the settlers come in here, and we try to make that agricultural land, and then we did fence it at first, and then we let cattle get in and out, and that keeps rooting that bank up. So what the Soil Conservation District likes to do is they like to fence that stream off kind of wide and let that natural vegetation grow back. As the stream migrates this way, it's gonna eat away in this little hayfield, but it's building back up over here. So they put the fence a little bit further back, try to keep livestock out there, and then they have places for livestock to come down into water just naturally. Allow the ranchers to have that option to, you know, livestock water. But that stream over the hundreds of years is just gonna wanna migrate back and forth. If we line it up, it changes, like it comes out of the canyon there at the North Fork Bridge. And there it goes by around the old bar area, and comes over by Terry Frost and then by Carlson's, and then they bring it back underneath the highway. They've got that straightened out so much, it doesn't meander in there, because people have settled in there, and that's fine. But it gets going so fast, it's just washing the canyon, it gets deeper and deeper. Then all that sediment goes on downstream, 4, 5, 6 miles, then it washes out into, it just builds back up, sediment. Fills the stream up, then the stream overflows and goes all over everybody's pasture and fields and stuff. So it has to be a holistic approach to the entire stream, you know, from the river all the way up to the mountains. And then, of course, we're gonna have human beings activity in there. We're gonna have the highway, it's gonna be there permanently. County roads are gonna be there permanently. People's homes and stuff are gonna be there permanently. We're not expanding it, but we gotta give the stream some room to move around and try to work with it, work with nature instead of fighting it. I grew up in Deerline, you probably remember that. And they took that Cottonwood Creek and put concrete on it, and come down to a street, and they have a 90-degree angle, come down to an alley, and then they run down the alley, then they bring it back. They couldn't quite figure out when high water came, why that stream would just go right back up. The high water come up, go right back up, and out into everybody's yard and everything, because people cannot control the stream. It has to have a natural, and if you get it going too straight, it gets too fast, and then that's where it washes everything, it gets deeper, brings all that sediment down, and that's what fish and game, the fish cops, the fish biologists don't like, is all that sediment. So it's kind of, we have to work with nature at the same time we have to do what we have to with public works projects. Sort of a balance.
The master service agreement,
Yes.
the email, I've got it, and then we've got the one that you had sent down.
Okay, good.
Do we need to do anything?
Nope, we're all square.
All right,
We got everything, signatures in all the right places.
and we did that earlier.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's fine.
Anything else for the good?
Oh, yes, there is an agreement, that you guys were gonna put in front of the county attorney for Montana DES. It's a pseudo small contract. Do we know what the status of that is?
I'm not sure what exactly.
Came in that
you're
packet that
talking
I
about.
don't remember what,
Okay,
Oh, yeah, I haven't heard back,
okay,
so we'll have to ask about that,
yeah,
yeah.
that's, just a standard little agreement form between you guys and DES to make sure that, you know, you say you'll follow their procedures and they'll do this for you guys, that's essentially.
Okay,
But make sure you're comfortable with it, I guess, and that should, we should probably get that done in the next 20 to 30 days, you know, maximum.
absolutely.
They won't give us any reimbursement to meet that song.
That's right.
Okay, all right. And we did adopt the state, the other policy they asked about.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. You got the 2 letters in, so that's the only thing that's hanging out there right now, besides this quarterly report. And as long as you guys are good with the quarterly report, we'll go ahead, sign that, and get it going, so.
Any comments, thoughts?
you know, I think
All
you
right.
got, your hands on it pretty good, I think.
So far, so good,
Mhm.
yes.
TSEP can be used as a match because it's state.
It can, that's
Good.
correct.
All right,
So they still do have money. What the plan will be is to just apply for a planning grant so we can prepare an application into TSEP come May for more bridge funding.
okay,
So, again, just trying to use state funds to match the federal grant
absolutely.
wherever we can.
That way you have less
Yeah.
local county money used.
Well, if we can do it right, there won't be any coming out of the local money. But we'll see where,
Or leverage our fund.
yeah.
You bet, yes.
Tim, you had a comment?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Tim Ravendall. Just a couple of questions, I guess. One, has the State Department of Transportation drawn that clear line between this process that you guys are working on and their project on the highway for that North Fork Bridge, as far as who's going to be accountable for the cost on that?
Yes, DOT is solely accountable for North Fork.
They're going to
Yes.
take that one, so that took that out of this
Right, they're
project.
doing everything on upstream on Highway 12.
Okay,
They've got a 3 or 4 year project working on that.
okay.
They're gonna do it in certain windows in the summer months. The highway will be closed for perhaps a week, but they gotta coordinate that with the construction on Interstate 90, because of the wide loads that are required to come this way. So they're juggling traffic patterns. And I think we got put off, I don't think they did camp there much last summer.
They did not.
They didn't close the highway because of the wide loads. It's the only way they can get stuff to Bellingham is
Okay, one more question, Madam Chair. I attended a couple of the landowner advisory meetings, and I've been in contact with a couple of the members of that. Early on, there were some concerns of the original assessments done back a couple of years ago on the mitigation in Deep Creek drainage to particular landowners and their structures and their houses. And the cost of those were really highly being questioned. As you move forward in your process here, I guess my question is have those concerns been addressed? And if not, I urge the folks here responsible to really look close at that, because there was a couple of those that were just outrageously high cost, and whether they were justified in the project or not.
what I think they did when they put that first application in, is they took everything possibly they possibly could. And when we got into looking at the county bridges that we want to build, the public works project, they're gonna be pretty expensive. So we kind of refocused this, like when I talked to the landowner advisory committee and I talked to the soil conservation board of directors, and I think I've talked to the commission, is we're gonna try to focus on the county bridges on those three. And we're gonna try to focus on that reach of the river from the North Fork Bridge down around where it goes downstream around Terry Frost and Carlson's, and it comes back underneath the highway. That section there is where they're getting so much of that sediment on down. So we're gonna try to focus our money on the public works projects and that section. While the money they're getting through the Department of Natural Resources and DEQ with the Soil Conservation District, that's gonna focus on the rest of the stream from North Fork down. And then the Highway Department, everybody's doing their stuff above the North Fork, up the canyon, in the canyon. So I don't think there'll be any money left for any private work at all. So we pretty much set our priorities, and they're way down low, if they'll ever be addressed. I doubt they ever will be.
Is that grant total still looking at that $1.3 million?
That's what it's slated for. Once we get into it, I think I indicated earlier, there are some projects in there that we're likely not gonna be able to do anything with, a lot of the private residential stuff. Those will go away. I'm not sure if there will be, anything that comes up substitute-wise or anything like that, but that is the number right now.
When we get done with this phase one, this engineering study, then we're going to submit a revision to that phase two.
Yeah,
And probably drop all those projects.
it'll be a very specific scope
Okay.
and be
And one last question, Madam Chair, to the commission. Has the commission, since this has been in the works for a while, considered where that matching grant of $400,000 is gonna come from, even if it doesn't come to that? Where is that funding gonna come from?
We have not.
We have.
We have, actually.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and answer that one.
Thank you, Commission.
Again, and I've explained, but we're looking at alternative funds like the Treasure State Endowment Program to solve some of those issues. We've received a grant from the DNRC for $50,000, which also counts toward that match amount. So the plan is to move forward with the engineering study. We have that completely covered. And then, look for additional funds that are available, if available, to do, the work that we're considering doing.
The other thing we're gonna use is county in-kind match.
Yes.
And like if we're gonna build a bridge, and we're gonna have contractors put the concrete work in, then we're gonna expect that the county road crew will bring the fill in, bring it up to that level.
I understand.
And re-gravel that.
And that match counts, so.
So, we'll pick up 10, 20,000 per bridge.
And the grant will probably be lower too after you get this scope.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Thank you.
we're probably not gonna be looking at anywhere close to that $400,000 match.
We don't have it, we don't do it.
That's right.
That's right. Anything else?
Not for me, no.
Franklin,
Okay,
gentlemen,
Doing good.
that's all we have.
thank you for coming, and have a happy new year.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Before we go, when would you guys like another update? Would you like to wait until after the next meeting?
Yeah, it's gonna take you a little while to get some more stuff.
Yeah, I mean, what would make sense to me is
After this,
we'd
this
meet
flying part.
after, maybe even after the next landowner advisory group meeting, when we actually have maybe a schedule and a plan hammered out. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
And by then you'll have some idea on the flying part.
Yes, absolutely,
The next quarter report's due at the end of March.
right.
Do you wanna call and schedule that?
I'll just,
Works for
yeah, I
you
mean,
guys?
I don't know which meeting yet, so I'll just go ahead and call and schedule.
Okay.
But it'll be no more than a month away,
Okay,
if that makes sense.
It does.
Okay.
All right,
Perfect.
thank you.
Commissioner. Any more? Russ?
not for me. No,
Sounds
good
like
we're
work,
dismissed.
keep it up.
Yeah, you're out of here.
So far.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thanks. Anything else? Happy
I don't,
My dad.
follow up on
Good
the
name.
legal paperwork, did you get that?
Doris asked me to do this with me. Is that okay?
Yeah, oh, okay. Okay.
I'll go get her another copy.
A lot of stuff here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Late reading.
Yeah, okay, very good. Yeah, I'll get it to her.
Okay.
I can get it. One downstairs.
Anything else, Franklin?
No. Do we want to talk about that roadway any, or that letter we just talked about in Costa Bridge structure now? Yeah, we just talked about it a few
Right.
minutes ago. You wanna do that, or, I'm gonna be taking this stuff in there, and that gal that was at that meeting that time, that Myron, I think her name was. Should I ask them what they would expect from us, or something to that effect?
Right.
And then do it later?
And then we need to put it on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll see what, if she thinks, you know, what they think we would, wanting to do, or what they'd expect from us, I guess.
okay,
At this point, they never expect anything from us, I don't think.
I don't think so. Okay, anything else? We stand adjourned.
All right.
Mark this down for time.
Ta-da.
Hope everyone has a happy new year. Yeah.
Last time you got to see me this year.
Oh, no.
Hey, you don't know
West Valley.
sign Franklin's help for if he's got it with him. The
Oh,
papers are
those-
gonna take and tell him.
Oh, okay. I could go, yeah,